And joining us on this holiday weekend, our NFL insider, Jake Ciely from The Athletic. And Jake, while Coach Ron Rivera struggles to change the culture of this football team, the off-the-field distractions continue and at the worst time.
Yeah, it really is bad timing, especially we don't know if Alex Smith is going to be ready for this week. It leaves a lot of questions. And, we've talked about it before on the past shows, you and I together, about there has been a culture change with Rivera, and he's making efforts. There's a lot of, he inherited Haskins, he inherited a lot of these players. So he's working on it. You don't expect it to happen in one quick season and just this felt swoop of everything being perfect. This is going to happen. This happens with a lot of teams. So they said they've addressed it internally. They've addressed it going forward. They've done their best to handle the situation. We'll have to see what the ramifications are down the road. But as of now, you respect what Ron Rivera has been doing as a whole. And, we'll look for better things. If this continues in 2021, then we'll have questions. But it's his first year, and we understand these things will happen.
Well, Jake, distractions aside, of all of the experts, you seem to have faith in this Washington team even after their slow start. But how surprised are you that they're just 2 wins away from winning the NFC East?
I would say not at all at this point, but at the beginning of the season, I thought this was the Cowboys' division to lose. But a lot changes when you lose a franchise quarterback like Dak Prescott. So from that point going forward, I thought this was their division to potentially lose because we start what I've been saying the entire year is with that front offense or defensive line for them, that front four, the front five with the combination of the rotating in, you get Chase Young to what was already a fearsome front, and they've been able to get pressure every single game. I keep telling you about it is top 5, and you know this, top 5 in getting pressure after the quarterback and top 5 in getting sacks and opportunities for turnovers. That's what creates a defense. That's a Super Bowl winning combination that the Giants got 2 Super Bowls off doing, was the front. So you've seen what they've been able to do there. And as long as you put out a competent offense, you can see that you have a contender on your hands. Go back to the Ravens when they beat the Giants in that Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. It was an okay offense, but a really fearsome defense. So I think this team is not only just the favorite, in my opinion, for the past couple of weeks, but I think they could surprise somebody with a potential playoff win.
Well, we know for sure that the winner of the NFC East will not finish the season with a winning record. The best anyone can do is 8-8, which could require Washington to win out. But isn't the whole idea of playing an NFL season making the playoffs regardless of your record?
Absolutely. It comes down to, hey, look, you play who you have to play in your division that you have to play in. We've had an 8-8 team make the playoffs before. We've had a 7-9 team make the playoffs before. And both that Panthers and Seahawks team won the first round in their playoffs. It's a home game. So maybe it's a little different this year. You don't get the home atmosphere that we would without the fans. So it's not as much as an advantage as it would be. But like you said, the goal is to go out and win your division. Is it your fault if the rest of the division's in shambles as it is right now? No, it's not. You go out there, as the cliche goes, you play to win the game. And if they're 8-8, that being the Washington team, and they win this division, kudos for them, because nobody expected them to be even the mix this year. So if you get a home playoff game out of it, good on them. They deserve it.
And interesting, after Smith and Haskins at quarterback, we're hearing that former Old Dominion quarterback Taylor Heinicke is next in line on the quarterback depth chart. Taylor now in his 5th season. He's played for the Panthers in 6 games last year. Your thoughts if Taylor Heinicke gets a call?
I think they still have a chance to win the game. I don't think it's as much of a downgrade as we've seen from all the quarterbacks this year. The one thing to go back to what I said just shortly ago was that the offense is competent. It doesn't need to be a top 5 offense. And if you look at it, one thing these quarterbacks have similar to each other is they're very low yards per attempt. That one game where Heinicke played quite a bit, he did have a few turnovers, but he's not a big thrower downfield, not 20 yards downfield. When he takes those opportunities, there's rare. But this team's not built for that. You look at Terry McLaurin, he's not a 20, 25 yards downfield every single play. He's better across the middle of the field. Logan Thomas is good across the middle of the field. Cam Sims is their biggest play guy, and he can do jobs over the middle of the field. So you got McKissick out of the backfield. You have a nice mix in this offense where, sure, we don't want Heinicke to start at this point with the playoffs at the line, but I don't think it's going to be to the detriment of this team that everybody thinks it might be. Worst case scenario, you see what the Bengals just did with Ryan Finley. Maybe you lean on the running backs a little bit more.
Against Seattle, the Washington defense got off to a slow start. They didn't put a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson, but I know you just said it. You love that defense.
I do. And look, we're talking about Seattle. We're talking about one of the better teams in the league. And the fact that we're in contention for that, I would say is more of a win than actually just even winning that game. Nobody expected them to beat the Steelers, and they did. They were competent. They were in contention with this game. And with starting Haskins, which wasn't part of the plan, the fact that the defense limited Russell Wilson and that offense, this is an offense that Russell Wilson at the beginning of the year was putting up 300 yards in a blink of an eye. He was putting up multiple touchdowns every single game. So maybe they didn't shut them down to start the game, but they kept in check, and that's all you really want. And now you get Carolina this week. Should be an easier sled for them going forward. Actually, both their last two games should be easier than anything that they just saw with the Seahawks.
Well, not only do we hope to see Alex Smith back, but boy, would we love to see rookie Antonio Gibson back. But I'll tell you this, I thought J.D. McKissick had a couple of nice runs against that tough Seattle defense, but hopefully Gibson's injured toe is getting better.
Yeah, hopefully. And if not, I will say the same thing. I'm surprised at McKissick. I didn't expect him to be as involved as he was. I thought he'd see a slight increase in his workload because he's mostly a pass catching specialist, but he's shown that he can do more than that. And I've been impressed with him. Peyton Barber's still going to get his usage if Gibson is out at the goal line for some of the short yardage, just because you don't want McKissick to take that kind of beating throughout the entire game. You compare him to some smaller backs like the rookie DeAndre Swift for the Lions. You just don't want a player like him to be beat up that much. But what he's been doing on a per touch basis, even running between the tackles, is a pleasant surprise. And they really haven't missed a beat. I know Antonio Gibson would be that extra spark, but they haven't dropped off as much as I thought they might without Gibson.
And the most valuable player on the offense is tight end Logan Thomas right now, the former Virginia Tech quarterback who had the best game of his career, I think, Sunday. Boy, I'll tell you, both Haskins and Alex Smith, they love this guy.
They do, and they should. Honestly, I've been jokingly saying this on the Athletic website, is he's essentially their number two receiver, not whether or not he plays wideout or tight. It doesn't matter. He's their number two guy. And at times when you see them back there, because Terry McLaurin is getting the defensive attention he is, if you watch some of the games, he's getting bracketed, double covered. They're bringing someone, their safety down over top of him, and for good reason. Terry McLaurin is a significant threat, a top 20, potential top 15 wide receiver in the league. With that happening, they've had to lean on Logan Thomas more, and he stepped up to the call. So Logan Thomas is going to be a game-breaking threat for the last two games. If they bring the attention on him, fine, because that will open things up for McLaurin. Those are their top two weapons in the receiving game.
Well, as we've seen, tight ends have become very important in the NFL these past few years. All right, thanks, Jake. We're going to check back with your fantasy football takes in just a minute. Time to wrap things up. Bruce Rader back with Brian Parsons, Nathan Epstein, and our NFL insider, Jake Ciely. Jake, on Monday, I thought the Redskins would be in a perfect position to beat the Panthers. Then, with the distractions and the injury questions, I'm not so confident. What's your final take?
I still am. I think this front four, front five, as we continue to talk about, is just too much for most teams. I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to keep them in check for the entire game. You're going to see pressure on Teddy Bridgewater, and things haven't been in sync for him as recent with Robbie Anderson. DJ Moore's been up and down. Same thing for Curtis Samuel. They're dealing with their own injuries. So I think that as long as this team goes out there, just stay steady. Just do what you've done the past 2 weeks. Run the ball. The Panthers are one of the worst at stopping the run. Keep things conservative, which might not sound good for the people that like to see them get out to a hot start, but keep to what you do best. Keep doing what you're doing best. And I can see them walking out of there with a 24-14, 24-17 type of win.